By the third day, something had changed. His voice shook when he spoke. His hands trembled when he poured water. And his mind, it was no longer steady. He laughed too loudly at things that weren't funny. He shouted at neighbors for no reason. And when Zarya passed by his window and greeted him, he didn't answer. He just stared. By the fourth day, he started talking to himself. Whispers, arguments, whole conversations with shadows. He wore his clothes backward. He stopped combing his hair. People began to talk. Is that not Kumasi? What happened to him? I heard he fought with his own reflection. Zarya heard the whispers too, but she didn't want to believe them. She waited. Then she went to check on him. When he opened the door, her heart sank. His eyes were wild, red around the edges. His lips were cracked. His smile was crooked and frightening. Kumasi, she said gently. Are you all right? He blinked. I'm fine. The gold is speaking to me. It wants to dance. Zarya froze. What gold? He leaned close. Too close. I told the pot to keep quiet, he whispered, but it kept singing. Zarya stepped back slowly. You took it, she said. He tilted his head. I took what was waiting for me. It wanted to come with me. The others didn't see that. She shook her head. You lied. You told me you didn't go there. You said you didn't know the way. Kumasi started laughing. Loud, ugly. I was going to build a palace, he said, dancing in circles. A big one, with golden doors and a roof made of stars. Zarya turned and ran. She didn't stop until she reached the old woman's compound. The woman was outside peeling cassava. Zarya knelt beside her, heart beating like a drum. Mama, she said, tears in her voice. Something is wrong with Kumasi. The old woman didn't stop peeling. He took it, she said. Zarya looked up, shocked. You knew? The woman nodded. I asked him. I gave him a chance. He looked me in the eye and said no, but the spirits knew. They always know. Zarya's voice broke. He's not well. He's not himself. The woman finally looked at her. Her eyes were tired, full of something deeper than anger. When you take what is not yours, the earth takes something back. Balance must return. Zarya cried quietly. Please, he is my friend. Help him, even if he doesn't deserve it. Please. The woman looked at her for a long time. Let me think, she said softly. Then she stood up and walked inside. The sky was quiet, holding its breath like the whole town was waiting. Zarya stood near the old woman's compound, heart heavy, eyes fixed on the door the woman had walked through. The air smelled of dust and distant smoke. A few chickens scratched the dry ground near her feet, but even their clucks sounded muted. Minutes felt like hours. Then the door creaked open. The old woman stepped out slowly, leaning on a carved walking stick. Her wrapper was tied neatly, her face unreadable, but her silence said more than words. Zarya ran to her, held her hands and pleaded again. Mama, if you can save him, I beg you, please. He's all I've known for so long. He was like a brother to me. The old woman stared at the ground. I told him, she said. I looked into his eyes and asked if he touched what wasn't his. He said no. He lied, not to me, to something far older than me. Zarya blinked back tears. Maybe he didn't understand. He understood, the woman said. But greed is louder than wisdom, and now he walks with fire in his head. Zarya dropped to her knees. Then let me pay the price. I brought him there. I told him about it. I didn't know what was in his heart. The woman looked at her. Really looked, and something softened. If not for your heart, I would leave him to the wind. But I'll try. Not for him, for you. Zarya nodded quickly. Thank you. Thank you, Mama. The woman picked up a small gourd hanging from her porch and whispered something to it in a language Zarya didn't know. Then she motioned for Zarya to follow. They walked together to Kumasi's house. He was outside, barefoot, holding a stick like a staff, muttering about a kingdom that lived under the soil. When he saw the old woman, he froze. Then he laughed. You came back, he said, but I already built the house in the sky. You're too late. She didn't respond. She walked closer until she stood in front of him. Kumasi, she said calmly, you still have a piece of what doesn't belong to you, and that piece is burning you from the inside? Kumasi's smile faded for a second. Then he looked around, panicked. I don't know where I put it. I think it moved. It ran from me. I swear it wasn't me." The old woman lifted her hand and touched his forehead. He flinched, then fell to his knees like his legs had given out. She placed the small gourd against his chest and spoke again, low, slow, and strong. Then everything went still. No wind, no birds. Even the trees stood silent. Kumasi's eyes rolled back, and he collapsed to the ground. Zarya screamed, rushing to his side. "Mama, what happened?" The old woman stood over him, not blinking. "Now we wait." Zarya held Kumasi's limp body, shaking, whispering his name over and over. Minutes passed. Then Kumasi gasped. His eyes opened. He blinked, confused, then sat up slowly. Zarya looked into his face and saw something different. The madness was gone. He looked around, breathing hard, then saw the old woman, and he began to cry. "Mama, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know." She said nothing. She just turned and walked away, her steps quiet, her shadow long. Zarya held Kumasi's hand. "You're back." He nodded. "But I don't deserve to be." Zarya walked Kumasi back to his room. His body was weak, and in every few steps he stumbled. She held him like a mother holds a child who's forgotten how to walk. When they finally reached his compound, he dropped onto the mat near the window, legs stretched out, head bowed low. The silence between them was loud. It sat in the corners, leaned against the walls, and clung to the air like dust. Zarya sat beside him, unsure of what to say. She kept stealing glances at his face. His eyes, once full of fire and pride, were different now, duller, like something inside had cracked and hadn't healed right. "I lost myself," he said, his voice low, barely a whisper. She looked at him, waiting. "The moment I saw that gold," he continued, "I forgot everything else. You, my dreams, the people who ever helped me. All I could think about was how to keep it, how to own it." Zarya shook her head gently. "It's not too late." He gave her a tired smile. "It's not about the gold anymore. It's about what it did to me, or what it brought out that was already hiding in me." Outside, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows on the ground. People moved slowly past the compound. Children laughed in the distance. Life continued. Zarya stood. "There's something I need to tell you," she said. "Tomorrow marks the 7th market day." Kumasi blinked. "The gold she gave you?" Zarya nodded. "She told me not to touch it until the 7th day. And now it's time." He looked down. "What will you do with it?" She paused. "I don't know yet. I only know that whatever I do, it can't just be for me." That night she barely slept. She lit a candle and sat beside the treasure wrapped in palm leaves. It still glowed faintly, as if it had its own heart beating quietly. She thought of her grandmother, long gone, who used to say, "When you're given something powerful, you must decide if it will serve only you or serve many." Zarya made her choice. At dawn, she returned to the old woman's compound. The woman was already outside, grinding leaves with a smooth stone. The air smelled of wet earth and crushed herbs. "Mama," Zarya said softly. The woman looked up. "Today is the day." Zarya nodded. "I came to thank you," she said, "and also to ask, is it really mine?" The woman wiped her hands on her wrapper. "Yes, but it will only remain yours if you honor the reason it came to you." Zarya's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" The old woman leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Gold, my child, is not just metal. It holds spirit, energy. It moves toward hearts that are ready and away from hands that are greedy. When it came to you, it saw light. If you keep that light, the treasure will grow." Zarya placed the wrapped bar in the woman's hands. "I want to use it, but wisely. I don't know how, but I don't want to waste it." The old woman smiled for the first time in days. "Then you won't." Zarya spent the rest of that day thinking. She walked around the village. She saw children in torn clothes playing with stones, women carrying firewood on their heads, men arguing over the price of cassava. She saw needs everywhere, real, raw, everyday struggles, and she realized something. She couldn't fix everything, but she could start something. The next week, Zarya took the gold to a trader in the next town. The trader's eyes widened when he saw it. but he didn't ask questions. He paid her more than she had ever held in her life, enough to change her world. She returned with woven baskets full of grain, dried fish, and cloth. She fixed the roof of her house. She bought new sandals, but she didn't stop there. She started a small stall, selling beans, gari, oil. She hired a young widow to help her, paid her fairly, treated her kindly. Soon the neighbors noticed. Zaria is growing, they said, but she hasn't changed. That became her gift. She didn't change. She became more of who she already was. One evening, as she swept the front of her stall, she saw Kumasi walking slowly toward her. His hair was clean, his clothes still worn, but his eyes were steady now. "I got a job," he said. Zaria smiled. "I'm glad." He took a breath. "I came to say thank you for not leaving me behind, for speaking for me when I couldn't speak for myself." She nodded. "I'm just glad you're all right." "I'll never forget what happened," he said. "Not just the madness, but how close I came to becoming someone I wouldn't recognize." Zaria looked up at the sky, painted with pink and gold. "Sometimes," she said, "we have to lose ourselves to see what was hiding inside all along." He sat beside her on the bench. They didn't speak for a while. They just watched people walk by. Children running, mothers laughing, old men talking about the old days. Life. Zaria reached into her bag and handed him a small wrapped piece of roasted yam. "Eat," she said. "You need strength." He took it, laughed softly. "You always know." She smiled, but it was a smile born from fire. A woman who had walked through dust and flame and come out stronger. Kumasi leaned back, chewing slowly. "What will you do next?" he asked. Zaria looked out at the setting sun. "Build something that lasts," she said. "Not with gold, with goodness." If this story touched you, even just a little, if it reminded you of someone you love, or made you pause and reflect on the choices we make when no one's watching, don't just scroll past. Take a moment to like this video. It helps others discover it too. Share it with someone who might need a gentle reminder that kindness still matters, that it counts even when the world feels cold. And if you'd like more stories like this, stories with meaning, stories that move you, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. You never know which story might speak to your heart. Thank you for being here. Let's keep growing together.